Hey there, welcome back to my hypersomnia video diary. It's been roughly 8 months, around 8 to 9 months since I made a video actually. I think the last one was around November of 2017. So just want to kind of check in. Actually, I had a request also, and I appreciate that. Just kind of for some more videos and again, thank you to everyone that's viewed the videos, even if only for a second. At least now you know that the word hypersomnia exists. Just kind of want to. This will be a bit informal. Excuse me. I know a lot of my previous videos had like a full-on structure, and I do have like a little outline to go off of, but it'll be pretty informal, kind of like catching up mostly. So, yeah, if you're just hitting this video for the first time, please go back and watch. Watch my whole playlist. So I did an entire video set of 1 month. Actually, it was about 34 days of what it looks like to have hypersomnia. So I did a video every day and kind of gave you my, how I was feeling, info on, current meds, new meds coming out, different treatments, tests, different things that help me, just a lot of information in general on how I cope and live with hypersomnia. And again, just to give a brief introduction, so I've had hypersomnia for, well, I mean, obviously my whole life, excuse me, but it didn't actually it didn't really manifest itself until my late teens, early 20s, so and I'll just, not going to say my exact age, but I've had it for about 20 years, or I've been dealing with the symptoms for 20 years. So how do I currently feel? That's an interesting question. Never fully perfect, I guess, but who does? But it's hard for me to, so I feel fine right now. This is definitely an on meds cycle for me. So definitely, awake and actually alive, and moving and interactive. But I'll get into a little bit more of that about how do I feel. So the current meds, when I last did a video, hopefully this audio is coming through well enough. When I last did a video, I was taking one 30 milligram tablet, or sorry, one 30 milligram time release in the morning with one 30 milligram instant release, and then another 30 milligram instant release somewhere in the afternoon. Kind of fluctuated, depending on when I needed it the most, or when I was, starting to feel more and more tired. And sometimes I would split that pill so that I could precisely nail it. As soon as I start to feel tired, nope. Keep it going, keep it going. And again, these bouts of tiredness are like in the middle of the day or in the morning or the afternoon, whatever. So I'm going to move on from there. So, that's the last. So, I wrote a little structure, but it doesn't really make sense now because the way I have to tell the story. So, so going through May, I'm still seeing the same psychiatrist, and things are going great. That dosage, was working, the best that it could for me, and I was happy, stabilizing. I had just gotten a new job recently, definitely higher quality job. So I was really excited about that, and it was good to be on meds and feel fine. But still was I'm always constantly worrying about the week that I take off, of meds and how that's going to affect me and those around me and employers and stuff like that. But all in all, I was feeling pretty well. And then coming up to the end of May, I would have been due for another prescription refill on like June 5th. So I started calling my doctor the last week of May, around May 28th, 29th, left a message, left another message, left another message, a few more messages, to the point where when I was calling, they were just saying, the message box is full, thank you, and then it would just hang up. So I was like, whoa, something is wrong here. Like, now, excuse me, by this time it's, like June 1st or June 2nd or something like that. And so I'm like, I just have to go in. Like, this is like, I have to get an appointment. I have to be able to see him. So I, luckily it's relatively close to my work. So I drove over there at lunchtime, went in there, and I got in, and I said, hi, I've been calling and leaving, messages for Dr. So-and-so. I need to get an appointment to get my prescription refill. And very bluntly and kind of coldly, the woman there just says, read the sign. And I was like, what? Okay. So I look at the sign, and it's very generic, just a printout, and just says, Dr. So-and-so is no longer seeing patients. All appointments have been canceled. You will need to contact a new doctor to, get your prescriptions and set up, ongoing, treatment appointments. So I was like, whoa, that's like someone taking your car away, in a sense, like, or gas away, maybe. I don't know, or car or something. It's like all of a sudden this, a person, or, this thing that you relied on, and I had developed a relationship with them, in a sense of, it takes a while to find a good doctor, especially for something really specific like hypersomnia. And I've been seeing him for like 5 or 6 years, or maybe even 7 years or something, and to find out now, like, oh my God, he's gone. He's no longer seeing anyone. I have to start all over, basically finding, a new doctor, and try to hopefully, not go through some of the crap that I went through before with them, just not understanding or believing you, or whatever. So that was really stressful. So they suggested that I, contact I live in San Diego, so that there's like a local or a state-run, psychiatric number, or support number or something, to get appointments and things like that. So I called that, and they said that the earliest appointments were like 3 to 4 months out. And I said, well, that's crazy. Like, what can I do? Like, I am prescribed a certain medicine, like, so I can function, so I can work, so I can live. And if I can't see a doctor to prescribe that for me, then, then I'm going to lose my job, most likely. And, I would really high percentage assume, and then everything else just kind of falls apart, because I'm just going to be asleep all the time. So they suggested, the fastest thing I do would be to go see a general doctor, and that, like, a general practitioner could see me right away, and that they could, likely treat me. And I was kind of skeptical about that, because everything I'd learned before about, and things change obviously over time, but everything I learned before about amphetamines and getting prescriptions for them is that you have to see a psychiatrist or a neurologist or some specialized doctor, that a general doctor can't do it. So they assured me that they could, and I asked them, when I was talking to them, and they said, yeah, general doctors can. So from that point, what I did was I went and just looked up, doctors in San Diego and prescriptions for Adderall, which sounds really dodgy, but whatever. Like, I didn't, how else, what would you search if you were trying to find that? So I got immediately I got like the results that I was basically looking for. Doctors that treat, most of them said ADD and things like that, but there was a lot of, positive results and nothing like shady or anything like that back for doctors that, are willing to treat medicine or willing to treat disorders with Adderall. It's the same thing as you would go to like a pain medicine doctor or something like that, in a sense. So I went to the general doctor. I called and said, hey, this is, I have this specific medical condition. I was seeing a psychiatrist. I gave him the whole story, and what can this is going to be a really long video. I guess there's a lot to recap though. So they were like, blah blah blah. Long story short, they said, yes, come in. This doctor will prescribe Adderall. And if you have the proper medical records from at least the prescription bottles. Here's an old one right here. At least the prescription bottles, which you can't really see it totally. I'll show you some of it there. Yep, D-amphetamine salt combo. So I brought all that stuff in. The first intake nurse, I want to call them. First I explained my story over the phone. They said, yep, for sure, come on in. I got there. They said, okay, you just called. Yeah, we know who you are. Go and, we'll call you back in a minute. So I wait. The intake nurse calls me in, looks at the pill bottles, writes everything down, enters all the information in the computer, asks exactly what condition I have and everything like that. I'm like, okay, cool. They're, obviously she wasn't going to know much about it, but, they're taking in all my information. This seems like could be a relatively positive experience. So the actual doctor, which I think was technically a nurse practitioner, which is fine, comes in and says, okay, so what are you here for today? And I said, oh, well, I was seeing a psychiatrist, and he's no longer treating patients, and I need to, it's going to be several months before I can get an appointment with a new one, and I need to get my Adderall refilled because I'm just a couple days away from the refill date, and I need to make sure that I'm having my medicine. She says, okay, so when, or no, she says, so was it high school when you first started taking Adderall? And I said, high school? No. I told the other lady, I started taking it when I was like 20. She's like, well, what test did you take for ADD? And I said, or ADHD? And I said, I don't have ADHD. I have hypersomnia. That's exactly what I explained to everyone. And that's what's in the record. I'm not taking this for ADD. And she said, oh, okay. And immediately I was just like, oh, fuck, Here we go. Just another doctor that doesn't get it, that's looking at me like, I'm just a bullshit artist or something. So she went through the stupid line of questions, asking me a lot about what I did, and basically trying to gauge my education and probably what my worth was to society before she even discussed prescribing any medicine. But I was, I have a thick skin to that now. I just was, it's an immediate sense of disappointment. So what she says to me is, okay, so you were being prescribed 90 milligrams a day. I can't prescribe you that. That's too much. And I said, too much? I've been seeing the same doctor for years. He had me on that. The pharmacy's filling it. And she said, I don't know how, which blows my mind. But for so many reasons, you know what I mean? A, it means something is either wrong, or B, not wrong with my doctor or my previous doctor. And then C, something is either wrong, or D, not wrong with the pharmacy, which is, I don't know, the whole thing is weird. But she said that the most that, they typically prescribe is 60 milligrams a day. And I said, yeah, but I'm taking 90. My doctors have me on this. And she said, well, that's not, what I'm going to write it for. And I'm like, oh, fucking hell. But at least it's, it's better than nothing. So she was only willing to write me 50 milligrams of Adderall a day. She wrote me, 50 milligrams. She wrote me a prescription for 30. This is so weird too. It was basically an interim prescription until I could see a psychiatrist, which she didn't even explain to me. But you'll understand in a second why the fill was weird. She wrote me 30 time release ones, which was normal. That's what I would take in a month, 30. And then she wrote me 30 10 milligram 30 10 milligram tablets that say take twice daily. So do the math there. 30 take twice daily means you only really have 15. And so she gave me only 15 days worth of one of them, but 30 days worth of the other. And at the same time wrote it for nearly almost half of what it, wrote the prescription for half of what it typically was. Whatever. That's fine. And interestingly enough, after I got it filled at the pharmacy, that's when I looked at it and was like, 30. I don't typically read the prescriptions when they hand them to me, although I should. But I just take it, for the way they're explaining it to me. But whatever. So I called the pharmacy and they said, nope, no mistake here. That's how the doctor wrote it. You have to call the doctor. Call the doctor's office. Never heard back from them. Never. I called in and said, hey, I'm really concerned. I just want to understand what's going on. The way that you wrote this doesn't make sense. Never heard back from him. So that's probably the most current real life example I have of just doctors sucking and not understanding the condition and not even wanting to work with it or not believing you. So, let's see, we're coming up to the 20-minute mark. This is going to be like a half hour or so. So, that being said, I was in a panic. Obviously, despite the fact that the doctor wrote my prescription for me to only take like half of the dosage that I previously was prescribed, and then also not giving me enough of it, which was really weird. Basically, what happened is I had to compensate, taking more of the time release ones until I was able to see a new psychiatrist, which I'll get to in a minute. But so it took me 10 or 12 days to get the appointment with the new psychiatrist. So in that time, because my dose was cut in half and I didn't have enough pills, I had to compensate, and so I ended up taking more of the time release ones to get through that. So that kind of messed me up. So I have I only had time release ones for maybe a week or 10 days of this month, which sucks because those are the best ones to have in a sense, because they, it's time release, so it stays in your system longer, and so when you well after you've taken your last one, 24 to 36 hours, you still kind of feel its effects. So that's great when you're heading towards the end of the month, but whatever. So got the new appointment. Highly expensive. It sucked. But what could I do? Cost me $300 out of pocket just to get an appointment and see the psychiatrist. So, obviously gave them all my information prior to that. I said to them, look, I don't even want to come in unless you're willing to treat me, and also do something about this missed dosage that I just got, because if you want to talk to me about reducing my overall total monthly milligrams, that's fine. I'm all for different variations and being the healthiest that I can, but it's impossible for me to be for several years taking this certain milligram and then just cut it in half. That's just really hard on my body. So they said fine, no worries. So I went in to see the psychiatrist, and it's a different experience than my previous one. But I'll say that she was very professional, asked me a lot of background information, a lot of questions, kind of really see where I was, but not in an intrusive or distrustful way. Also informed me that that the milligram dosage that my previous give me 1 second here, I got a little drink here. She said that the being prescribed straight 90 milligrams of just amphetamine salt, which is what Adderall is not typically legal or advisable. And she said what I was doing was like raising the bar like really high, in a sense of like it's hard, like once you take your tolerance to that level, it's hard, it just gets increasingly harder to ever return. And maybe that's part of the tolerance battles that I've been having. So she said that, so what she did was I'm going to go back in a month, or not a month now, just a couple more weeks. So sometime around, I want to say the end of the first week, maybe the second week of July, I want to go back in, and we're going to try an alternate treatment. But she did, she made the dosage compensations for what I was already been given, but unfortunately it didn't, it's like, it wasn't taking into consideration the compensation that I was already doing, I guess. So it's a little bit difficult, and I'm happy to have a new doctor, and at least someone treating me, and someone not putting a stigma on Adderall. But I'm not sure where this is going to go now. She suggested trying Vyvanase. And I have a whole video about Vyvanase. If you want to check it out, it's in my previous video, or it's in, I can't remember which day it is, but yeah, check it out. I just did some research on it, and some actual reports. I have never taken it, but reports from people that have hypersomnia or narcolepsy and did take it, and what their experiences were, and kind of just some general scientific info on it. But she mentioned taking Vyvanase. I'm happy to try whatever. I just had discussed Vyvanase with my previous doctor, but we kind of came to the same conclusion that and then also my Daesis, or my Dasis, however you say it. But the conclusion is that those medicines are being developed for people with ADHD, and while people with narcolepsy or hypersomnia can find relief taking those ones, what a lot of people are saying is that, like, because it's so time released, that they're not, they never feel like that wake up feeling, like they're just kind of still there maintaining, which is something I want to avoid. I want to get out of that sleep drunkenness, just wasteful state, I guess. But so that being said, I'll probably be doing another video in just a couple of weeks after I take, or after I see that that doc, and get a modification to my medicine regimen, and we'll see what that is, and I can report back. I guess in a sense, in terms of hypersomnia awareness and information, if I do get put on something like Vyvanase, then I'll be able to report here, and kind of, give people feedback, firsthand of how I feel. So, let's see here. Where are we at? So, don't mean to slow us down here, but let's see. So, yeah, I got a new job, and I hadn't actually, so when I was doing my last set of videos in October, November, I was unemployed at that time. So by just a quick overview of my work history, I've worked nearly full-time every year since I was like 16, just about, like, or at least at that 30-hour mark. So I was unemployed then, which isn't like a regular thing for me or even typical at all. So that was like, that was stressful for a bit. And when I finally did get the new job and stuff, like I just explained, I had, when I first started there, I was like on my off week for meds, which sucked. But, I needed the job and wanted that job. So, I went in happily and did the best I could. And luckily I kind of made it through with taking a little bit of time off that first week, unfortunately. But, yeah, like, and with the whole ordeal with, losing that doc and then having to go find another doc, I kind of had to give them a brief explanation of saying that, hey, sorry, I have to take off this certain amount of time. I'm going to have to go see a couple of doctors. I have a neurological condition that, I have to take specific medicine for. I hope you understand. And they were really cool about it and understood, which is great. That's all I could really ask. But, it's like, when I was in that stint of unemployment, unemployment, I was really considering going on disability because I was starting to think like, man, I don't know if I should work anymore, and not in a lazy way, but like, I feel like, I'm lying to the company in a sense because obviously, it's really hard to disclose your entire medical history to someone, especially if it causes a disability, because they're just likely to find another reason not to keep you or hire you or whatever. So, yeah. So basically, this job, it sucked, but I had to take, not like a lot of time off or by any means or anything like that, but just, probably more time than they would have ever expected for me in my first month. But, that's what hypersomnia does to you. It causes you to have to go see extra doctors and have to wait at the pharmacy longer, because your medicine is a Schedule 2 or whatever, so it takes longer to fill, or, whatever. Or that it's just something that goes along with hypersomnia. Thank God, these people were at least accepting, whether or not they understood or anything, but they were at least accepting of the fact that I had a condition of something and had to go to the doctors and didn't ask me a lot of questions, so that was cool. But what I've been doing there is just the times where I'm on meds there, I'm like just trying to overwork myself in the means where I'm like, I'm only going to have this energy and this creativity and this focus and this drive for these couple weeks. So I got to do more, because when that other week comes up, I'm probably have to call out one day or take, a couple extra long lunches or a couple extra breaks so I can, go for walks to keep myself up. And I probably will not be nearly at all creative that week. Hopefully I will, but kind of fearing that because I'm actually going to come up to an off week here starting next week of meds, so it's going to suck. And my birthday actually is on Friday of next week, and I was just hoping it was going to time out right so that I would be, like at least at the beginning or middle of my med cycle, so that I could be awake on my birthday and actually enjoy it. I might just try to save some of the ones that I have right now until then, but then that just means, I don't know, whatever. It's just that part of it sucks. Okay. So let me see what else is on my list. That's kind of actually, all that's on my list here to cover. That kind of catches me up from where I've been. Just a note, I think whatever my final video was before, I think it was day 34 or possibly day 35. I'll have to double check. That one was just music only. There was no me talking. There was no information or anything like that. That was a track actually I had made myself under the name Enon. But I just wanted to kind of like catch people up on that, because I just kind of ended the whole video series before, and the reason I did that is because I hit my off meds time, and I just became so overwhelmingly tired that the thinking about continuing to do videos and to try to get through a whole another week of being extremely exhausted, sleeping 16 to 18 hours a day, seemed like an impossible task. So literally, when I hit that brick wall, I wanted to do one more video and I had nothing to give, so I just put the music to it. So there's a little explanation for what happened there, and hopefully that makes sense. And so again, today, let's see the date here, actually. Today is June 24th. 6 days to my birthday, 30th. So I probably will not be doing another video until after I see my doctor, which again is probably going to be the second week of July. And then from there, I'll do an update of where I am, and then I'll decide if I want to keep continuing to do videos, because I do like doing them. It's therapeutic for me. And then again, I feel like potentially, it's helping other people. I in some sense, I know that because I've gotten some feedback saying that, and I really appreciate all that, because like I said at the start of this, all I really wanted to do was the first and foremost help myself understand this better. That way I can help other people understand it better. And especially, to those of you that have hypersomnia, because it's often like, it's the hardest thing to understand yourself, and like when you have this thing that's just constantly tripping you up or sneaking up on you and putting you in a sleeper hold, taking you down and putting you out for the count, you really got to understand that, and you got to really understand and kind of accept what the disease is and what it's capable of doing to you. All right, so I've exceeded the 30-minute marker here, so it's gonna take forever to render this video before I upload it, but I just want to once again say thank you, and I will be checking back in with you guys in just a couple weeks. Please feel free to message me, private message, comment, whatever. If you want more information about hypersomnia, please reach out to me. If you think you have hypersomnia and you want to know, whatever about it, I would love to help anyone. And if all you want to do is sit there quietly and don't interact, but just watch the video, that means just as much to me as well. So once again, thank you everybody, and I hope this helps, and I will see you in just a few weeks. So thank you again.